Hi everybody, it's Peaceful Nick the Medium. Welcome back to my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Today I want to talk about, is your child gifted as a psychic or a medium? And there's a pretty simple way to know. From ages approximately 2 to 6, depending on your child's verbal usage, often children with gifts are very inquisitive and curious, and will talk about the things they see at night or during the day. When I was a child, I had an invisible friend. She had a name, and to me, she wasn't invisible. Her name was Cindy Dina. I could describe her to you. She had blonde hair. She wore like a gray private school uniform skirt outfit, and she lived in my basement, and I talked to her all the time, and my family thought I was crazy because I had this invisible friend and they all knew her name. And so that's one sign. That doesn't guarantee your child is gifted or has psychic or mediumship abilities, but it is a sign to look for. And never shame a child for having an invisible friend. It could be a creative outlet for them, or it could be something wonderful that they're experiencing. They can also talk about seeing loved ones who they've never met or seen pictures of and talking to them, or loved ones that have passed that they see after they've passed. Some children fully see spirits right in front of them. Some adults do also. Look out for things like that as well. I know a person who, from the ages of about 3 to 6, would tell me stories that he went to heaven every night, and he had a best friend in heaven, and he would talk about his job in heaven. And his job in heaven was to help bring people who have passed up to heaven, to bring their spirits to meet their loved ones in heaven, to greet them. And this person told me these stories countless times, and it was wonderful. And then he kind of grew out of it. But that doesn't mean that he's not gifted. It just means that's a sign that he was open spiritually to the other world. And now that he's an adult, he really probably doesn't think about it. But he may encounter that again sometime, if he wants to, if he chooses to. Other things are talking about spirits who aren't there that maybe they never knew. So another story I have about a person is, I was driving down the road and I had this child in the back seat, and this child had his arm around someone and said, blah, 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 blah. And he's talking, and I turned around and I said, who are you talking to? And he said, this little girl and her father died on the highway up here, and she needs to go to heaven, and her spirit is stuck, and I'm just telling her that it's okay. She flew in through the sunroof of the car, and I'm just telling her that it's okay to go to heaven. And of course, that kind of rattled me a little, but it was a beautiful, wonderful story, and I would never shame a child for telling a story like that, because to them it's real, and maybe it is real. It's amazing to hear things like that from a young child who would never be able to make that up. Some children, and there are some very famous cases of children who remember past lives vividly and have details that, when researched by their parents, prove to be true. Things a child who's 4 years old couldn't Google, or would never even think to Google or read in a book. There are famous cases of this. You can look them up. There are lots of them. That's another sign that your child is gifted in the psychic or medium parameters. Prophetic dreams, or just prophetic visions. That might sound a little dramatic, but sometimes my baby sister, well, she's 45 now, but she had a prophetic dream as a child that there was going to be a plane crash, and the very next day there was a horrific plane crash. And that could have been a coincidence. However, if this pattern repeats itself over years, things that the odds are just against it being coincidence, that's definitely a sign that there is something more going on, some connection with the spirit world or some otherworldly something. Also, knowing things that will happen before they happen. Some people are very lucky. They say, I'm lucky. I have the luck of the Irish, they'll say. But maybe they're not lucky. Maybe they just are extremely intuitive or psychic and don't realize it. And they can feel things before they happen. And so like people who always win at games or poker or rummy or some kind of board game or sports. Some of these people are very good at sports because they can see what's going to happen before it happens. These are just some things that may show that your child is gifted as a psychic or a medium. Don't ever shame a child. Don't ever force a child to explore this if they don't want to. It can be scary. You can explain these things to children at their age level when they ask questions or talk about it. Listen with an open heart and an open mind, and I guarantee you it will serve you well and your child well if you listen to them in that way. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please send me any questions. All the links are below. Have a peaceful day.